Okay, yeah, so I'm starting the recording a little bit late. I forgot that, but we're on schedule now and focus now. As I said, I'm going to send you an evaluation sheet. So you should check your emails. That is coming from me now. We're going to use that as we watch the sheets. You will also be evaluating your classmates' videos as we watch the sheet. Sorry, as we watch the presentations, you'll be evaluating your classmates' videos and sending me messages in the chat. Okay, which I will consider as I'm grading the videos, not in the sense that you get a final say about the student's grade, but I do want your input. This was a big assignment so far, the weightiest thing we've done. Sorry, I've been talking all day. The weightiest thing we've done for this semester. Now, just to be clear, the sheet that I'm sending you, of course, you will not be able to make any markings directly on it. Okay? It is in Word form. And rather than try to make markings and send that back to me, the easiest thing would be for you to respond to the videos in the group chat, and you write the name of the group. And of course, at the end of each group, I will allow a few minutes for each of you to submit your evaluation based on the 5 criteria I have shared on the sheet. So I just sent it to you. I'm now going to pull it up so that we have a look at what everybody just received. I'm going to share it with you on screen. Here you go. So basically, you are evaluating whether your classmates were professional in their dress, whether they understood the requirements of the assignment, whether each group member was actively involved and engaged, and if they were engaged, did they engage you in this presentation? Did you find the scenario believable or relatable? Okay, and was it relevant given the assignment? So as I introduce each group member's video, we're going to start with group 1. I'm going to ask the members of group 1 to remind the class what their assignment was. That will help your classmates to answer these 5 questions. Okay, and I'm just looking for a number from you, a score. Not so much an explanation, but what score would you give? So in your chat, you are going to, when your name automatically appears, you don't have to worry about that, but you are going to have a number 1 through 5, and you're going to assign a score for each person based on your opinion. So I imagine this isn't going to take too long, hopefully, but I do want, and I find that people are perhaps less likely to share or be verbal or be vocal when I ask for feedback. So we'll do it this way. And you direct messaging me, okay? Sorry, I'm looking over here. This is why I see everyone. You're direct messaging me your score for the student, okay? You don't respond in chat to everyone. Okie dokie. So as I said, we are going to start with the grammar exercise. And the grammar exercise that I'm referring to is, let me stop this share, is related to sentence fragments. You're gonna have a couple minutes to work through this before we get to the video assignment. So this is, as I said, a common issue I've seen in marking your assignments. Sorry, let me make sure that people are muted when they enter. Let me change these meeting settings. I'm also going to make sure we stop hearing that noise as people enter the meeting. Collapse that, close that. That's going to be the last of that sound, and then mute on entry. Okay, great. Now I'm going to share what I was talking about. So this looks like one big paragraph, and that's fine. The issue is not with paragraphing and organization. The issue I've seen over the course of these 12 weeks with marking your assignments, please mute your microphone, marking your assignments, is that students are having some challenges differentiating between pieces of a sentence and full and complete sentences. So we're going to spend some time talking about very basic grammar. And if this is too basic for you, please be patient. Many of you are at an advanced writing level. Some of you are not, okay? And so I emphasize things like this because you will be required to work on similar exercises for your final. While I'm on the subject of the final exam, please make note of what I'm about to say. Next week, Wednesday, April 5th, is the day for your mock final. I mentioned it last week. The way this mock final will work, rather than meeting as a class, on Wednesday, just before class time, I am going to send you an activity that models your final exam. And you will work on that exercise and submit the answers to me by the end of class. We generally end at 8:30. So between 6 and 8:30 next week, Wednesday, you will be at home working on your mock final exam, and you can use notes. I want you to regard this as also a study session, because as you're looking at the answers for various parts of the exercise, and as you're working through these exercises, you will have to go back in your notes. And so it's a form of refreshing your brain and also studying. So that mock final will take place next week, Wednesday. So we don't have class as a group. You'll be working independently, but please make sure that by 8:30 p.m. on Wednesday, April 5th, you have emailed me the completed mock final. I'm going to review it, provide feedback, and then as a group, we're going to review that exercise on April 12th. That will be our final preparation class. We're going to prepare for the final, talk about strengths and weaknesses based on that mock and things that you may need to go over in more detail in preparation for your final on April 19th. Now, Ellen and Danielle, I sent Mrs. Dean a message regarding your final, the nature of your final, albeit I sent it late in the afternoon, so I don't think she got an opportunity to respond. I'm expecting a reply from her early tomorrow or by tomorrow afternoon latest, and I'll be able to tell you how your final exam is going to be structured. I would think it's going to be online and under some kind of supervision. So be prepared to have your cameras on. Be prepared to sit this exam on April 19th with your classmates. The only difference is you will be online. I don't know for sure what the Institute would like to do, how they're going to handle it. But once she tells me, then I'll be in a position to let you know. Okay? All right. So you will get an email from me about that.
Yeah, I need to speak with you on that as well.
Okay. All right. So you and Dimitri need to stay. I think you told me that last class, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All righty. So the final, something's going on with my throat. And I just know in the name of Jesus, it's not sickness. I don't want that. I don't want a cold or whatever's going around. All right. So let's talk about sentence fragments. Let me stop this share. It's not time for the exercise just yet. I want to say some preliminary things. And I'm going to be using chapter 4 of your BIF's course text to review some material. So what is a sentence fragment? How do you avoid them? Why are they so important? So as students in this class and as professionals, where you demonstrate the skills that you've learned in this class and others, as you're qualifying yourself to be better business professionals, you know how important clear communication is. Now, what makes this problematic for us? And I will not be naive and say it's not problematic. We do have a literacy problem in our society. What makes it particularly problematic for us is because English is not our first language. And I say that and you may say, Ms. Higgs, what? English is not our first language. We speak a Creole. We speak a form of English that is native to us. It is our mother tongue. It is the language that we are most comfortable with. And it is a language to which we revert for communication. It is not substandard. There is nothing wrong with it, although it may be regarded as non-standard English by many people. It is not substandard. The fact that it is a Creole of English, though, means that it is understood by a small group, namely Bahamians. And if we want to be understood by a wider audience, the audience that we will no doubt interact with, since even though we work with Bahamians, the economy is global. We are interacting with people all over the world. If we want to be understood by them, then we need to speak a form of English that is understood by most people across the world, right? And so the fact that we speak a Creole, and that is the first language that we learn, and it's very African in form. When we first go to school, we have to unlearn the grammar rules that we learned at home through speech and through interacting with our family members. We have to unlearn those rules to learn standard English. And that transition is not handled smoothly for many people. And then we have a literacy problem in our society in that many of us don't like to read. And so because so many people don't see the connection between being an avid reader and being a good writer, when we don't read often, our writing suffers as well. The way we communicate is stilted. We don't get a lot of practice, and we don't look at what good writing looks like because we're not reading. And so all of this problematizes our expression and communication in business, right? Oftentimes in speech, we leave out verbs. We don't conjugate our verbs. We speak in a way that is most comfortable to us. But when that transfers to the writing, then we have a problem. And so that's what I'm seeing. And we call it dialectical interference, right? And so communication then becomes a kind of hoop that we have to jump through, right? Good communication, because we have to unlearn so much. And then the thing of it is too, when we move from home to the classroom and we learn a different English altogether, we don't take that English back home with us. When we go home, we speak in our mother tongue. We code switch. We do what we call code switching. We become very adept at moving back and forth between the language that our teachers say we have to use and the language that we're most comfortable using at home. And so the two are competing, and often you see a lot of overlap, right? If we want to be understood, though, we need to pay very careful attention to our grammar. Clearly written, complete sentences. They are comprised of certain parts. We need a subject, we need a verb, and we need a complete idea. And that is how we distinguish a sentence from sentence fragments, from run-on sentences. A sentence makes sense on its own. A sentence makes sense on its own. You may hear another teacher say, a sentence expresses a complete idea. It can stand alone and make sense by itself. So we also call sentences independent clauses for that very reason, because they're independent. They don't need another sentence to give it meaning. By itself, it expresses a complete thought. And a sentence is made up of a group of clauses or words that convey this idea. So when you hear me talk about an independent clause or a sentence, I'm saying the same thing. When I told you last class that two short sentences or two independent clauses, short independent clauses can be joined by a semicolon when the ideas are connected, when one expresses an idea and the other elaborates on that idea, then we can combine those independent clauses with a semicolon. I'm basically saying we can combine two short sentences with a semicolon, they're the same thing. So we know that for a sentence to make sense on its own, we need a subject. And the subject is the person doing or performing the action of the sentence. And it may be a name, a person, place, or a thing. I'm sure you remember that definition from grammar school. So a subject is essentially a noun, or it may be a pronoun, but it answers the question, who is performing the action of the sentence? And the action of the sentence is also a verb. So when we have a subject, the person or pronoun performing the action, we have an action, the verb, and we have a complete thought. So some idea, the object between the subject and the verb, then we know we have a sentence, right? So someone does a thing to someone else. And that is what we know as a sentence, when you can identify subject, verb, object. Right? We have a complete thought. So we're going to look at page 116 of your course text, which gives some examples of sentence fragments, what they look like versus complete sentences. So essentially, a fragment is a piece of a sentence. It's not a complete sentence. Something is missing. Like I just said to you, for a sentence to be complete, you need a subject and a verb. So when you have a fragment, you're missing either a person performing the action, you're missing the action itself, or the idea, the object is missing. So we have some examples of sentence fragments. Children helping in the kitchen. These are pretty common and easy to identify. Some sentence fragments, as we're going to look at in a few minutes, are not as simple and easy to identify, especially when students get into long sentences. They don't realize that this is not a complete sentence, right? Or when they try to say too much in a sentence, they don't realize that the sentence is not complete. So you may have a 2-line long or 3-line long sentence fragment that does not answer the question, who did it and what did he or she do? All right. How do you fix a sentence fragment? Very simply, you add a subject or you add a verb. All right. What component was missing that made this a fragment? This is different from a run-on sentence. In a run-on sentence, you have two independent clauses just running together. Let me try to make this bigger. You have independent clauses, so you have 2 sentences or more sentences. I marked an essay last night in which a student had 4 sentences combined into one long run-on sentence. So when you have a series of independent clauses or a series of sentences joined together without any kind of punctuation between them, you have a run-on sentence. If you put a comma between them, where you need a full stop or a semicolon, then what you have is a comma splice. That is a kind of comma error where you've used a comma instead of the period, right? So we have the first example of a run-on sentence. We have 2 sentences combined. Jennifer is a hard worker, full stop. Sentence number 1. Our subject is Jennifer. The verb is, and how do I describe it in this case? We have an adjective, right? Or we have something that modifies or gives more information about Jennifer. This is the part, the complete thought, right? Full stop here. She even frequently works through lunch. In this case, the second sentence, and I would have fixed this by putting a semicolon here because we have 2 short sentences. I could have put a comma, all right? I could have put a semicolon or a period, sorry, not a comma. In the second sentence, Jennifer, she is replaced by a pronoun, but because of this earlier sentence, I know to whom the she refers, Jennifer. And again, the verb works through lunch, all right, the complete thought. So this is how we form a sentence. We need to look always for the subject, and good writing, direct writing, writing that has an impact, puts the subject very clearly, usually at the beginning of the sentence where the reader can pick it out, right? One of the key things to remember as a writer, and it's something that takes me through whatever writing task or communication act I am attempting, is to remember, I know what I'm trying to say. Someone else coming behind me will be trying to figure out what I'm trying to say. My job is to make the figuring out easy for them, right? You don't want to send people on a wild goose chase. You don't want to create a puzzle for them to solve. You communicate in such a way that they understand your meaning early and simply, right? You convey it simply. Okay, good. So that, I want you to review chapter 4 too. We didn't go through all of the grammar exercises, but there are quite a lot of them in chapter 4 of your course text. Valuable information. I sorted through the most common errors and the things that I wanted to highlight. So from that, I'm going to send you tell me something. Did I share the page of your course text with you? Something tells me I was not sharing that when I was actually looking at, sorry. Am I sharing page 116 of your course text? I can see it now.
Yes.
Okay, all right, good. So go through this information. As I said, we're not going to review the whole chapter. I chose some of the more common errors and problems that I want students to avoid. I'm going to send you this exercise as a practice exercise, the same way we did with avoiding semicolons, using semicolons and colons. And I want you to work on this, not for a grade necessarily, but it will help you as you are writing and also completing the final, not just for that final exam, but even for writing assignments outside of it. All right, if we have time, we may come back to this at the end of class. Let's see how our time goes. I want to get into the videos. Did everyone receive the evaluation sheet? I sent it to your email address. If you came in late, I'll repeat the instructions. You are going to write to me in the chat. Assign them a score based on each of the 5 questions, the presentation that you just watched. Now, I'm sure that some of you who may prefer not to use the chat and may say, no, I'll just work on the Word document you sent, fill that out and send that back to you. If you opt to do that, that's fine. Bear in mind there are 4 groups. You will have to complete that Word document and send it to me 4 times. So making notes in the chat is the simplest way to go about it as the video is playing. So make sure you pull up that evaluation sheet. It's the student version of the evaluation sheet so that you can see what questions you're answering. Okay, I'm going to pull up YouTube, sign into that now. And just remind me who's in group 1, please, so I know which video to start with. I know Leslie is going to present directly. And
Chanel and Ricardo.
okay, Chanel and Ricardo in group 1. And then who's in group 2? Ellen and Danielle? Or are you group 3?
We're group 4, Ellen and Danielle.
Ellen and Danielle. Who's in group 2? Okay.
Leslie and Alexandria.
Alex? Alexis?
Alexis.
And then Courtney and Shanique, group 3. Courtney, Shanique, and Byron are supposed to be in group 3. Let me sign into YouTube. Now, I haven't gotten the video from group 3. Courtney, Shanique, and Byron. So I have group 1.
Miss Higgs, I think Courtney would have said she sent it to you this afternoon.
Okay, if you sent it to me this afternoon, I didn't have time to check my email. Let me see something, Courtney. I don't get an email from you, Courtney. Let me check my junk box. No.
You can give me the WhatsApp again and I'll try to send it to you.
Oh, you WhatsApped it to me. Sorry, darling. I'm looking at my.
I'm not sure which she did. I'm not sure which one she did, but
Yeah,
I have it on my
I
phone.
got
I
it by
can send it to
WhatsApp.
you.
It's fine.
Oh,
I
you
got
got
it
it?
by WhatsApp. Let me try
Okay.
to download it. I'm looking at my
Okay.
email for it for whatever reason. Let me try to download it. So I'm gonna have to upload that to YouTube. Okay, so I got a reply. All right, so Danielle and Ellen, speak with me after class. I got a reply on your exam. Just bear with me while I upload group 4's video to my YouTube page. That may take some time. We have first up the video from Chanel and Ricardo. So please make a note when you are responding, you're evaluating Chanel and Ricardo, group 1. Chanel, can you tell us what the focus of your assignment was, please?
We had to reenact a situation where an employee was getting fired, terminated from his place of employment by his manager.
Okay, you said you were the manager?
Yeah, I was the manager. Ricardo was the employee.
Okay, all right, good. All right, so I have my notepad. Group 4's video is still uploading. Let me view this on YouTube. Stop. Okay. Let's get into full screen. Come in.
Good morning. So, Miss San said you wanted to see me.
Hi, yes, please have a seat.
Thank you, thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm good.
That's good. Well, I called you in here because I'm sorry to have to say this, but we have made a difficult decision to terminate your employment with us, effective immediately. your performance has just not been up to standard, and we don't think it's in the best interest of the company to continue this relationship.
I don't understand why I'm being fired. Like, could you explain more in detail for me, please?
Right, I understand this may come as a shock to you, but we've been monitoring your performance for some time now. We've given you even an extended period for us to see if there would be any change, but there just hasn't been the change that we need to be able to continue this relationship.
But I just be busy. I have school after work. I try my best to do what I can.
I understand that, Ricardo, but
Can you guys give me an extension, like how you guys give me the first 6 month extension for the probationary period?
Ricardo, you've been consistently falling short in certain areas. Productivity, missing deadlines, following company procedures, producing quality work.
I just have a lot on my plate, that's why.
But we've given you feedback on these issues, and we still haven't seen any improvement. Not the improvement we would have liked to see to continue your employment with us.
So I can't have another 6 months to see if I can do my best.
I understand this is difficult news to hear, but we've honestly given you enough time and opportunity. And like I said, even an extended period to improve your performance. And unfortunately, we just haven't seen the progress that we need to see at this point.
But
So
I
we
have
just
bills,
believe it's
I
in your
have
best interest to
school.
terminate.
I have a lot of things to do. I can't do this job. I really need this job this blue.
Ricardo, I understand, but unfortunately, there is nothing I can do at this point. The decision has been finalized by my boss as well as your supervisor. This decision did not come lightly. We put careful consideration into this. Please understand that we did not come about this decision lightly at all. You have been a valued member of this company,
I understand.
but like I said, at this time, we just think it's in the best interest to terminate.
Okay, thank you. So my pay and stuff, how would I go
Right,
about?
so after this meeting, you would go down to HR and they would discuss your severance package and any benefits you may have accrued during this time period, and they will be able
Benefits
to
such as what?
vacations, bonuses, those things can be discussed between you and HR in detail, and any other questions you may have, they can, and we'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rue.
And Ricardo, please understand that you were a valuable member to this department and to this company. If there's anything we can do to make your transition smoother, easy, please let us know.
With my job, that would be the best.
We can write you a reference for your next job. We can possibly write you a reference, but like I say, do not hesitate to ask us or give us a call.
Okay, thank you.
Alright, please enjoy.
Yes, sir. Enjoy your evening.
You too.
Okay. All right, so I have some questions for group one. First, professional and empathetic. Chanel. Ricardo kept his cool, so that was good too. So professional from both of you. Do you think a case where an employee is being terminated, in that case, would he be offered a reference when leaving? What would you say in the reference if you're terminating him for non-performance? What would you say in the reference?
Like thinking back on it, I think that was a bad idea, but yeah.
You were trying to be
But I wouldn't
empathetic.
know. But I wouldn't know. Possibly, realistically, I would not know what to say. If he
Yeah,
was getting
if he's
terminated
not
for
performing, yeah, any job letter from this organization might not help his chances of getting another job. What do you think you should do if you are fired from a job? Do you list that? And this is for the entire class. Do you list that on your resume? How do you explain that you were terminated from a job? Because as you're looking and you are trying to find new employment, this might be considered a knock against you, a knock against your character, your work ethic. What do you think is the best thing to do?
Repeat the question again.
I said, if you were fired from a job,
Mhm.
do you list the job that you were fired from on your resume? Because I'm asking the question because Chanel said, we'll give you a reference. And my follow-up question was, well, what would the reference say? He's being fired for non-performance. Does he even want that reference? Do you leave that job out? What do you do? What do you think? Anybody?
I would think that, I mean, if they're not leaving on completely bad terms and if they're willing to do a reference, then you can put it in.
They're leaving on completely bad terms. Chanel said, looking back, she realized that wasn't the best. She said you had a lot of opportunities to pull up your socks, to improve your performance. You've not done it. The thing is, you don't leave a job off your resume, even if you were fired from that position, if it's particularly relevant to the job you're applying for. Think about it. If you have worked in a particular position for 5 years, but in the last 6 years, the last 6 months, the relationship has kind of gone downhill, you're not performing, or a year even, and the company decides to let you go, you will be faced with a more difficult question to answer on your resume. What have you been doing for the last 5 years? You may have valuable skills that you can bring to this new job, those skills you may have learned on the same job you were fired from. So you don't leave it off your resume. You certainly don't say, though, on your resume, I was fired from this job. If it comes up, you've gotten a job interview. If it comes up in the job interview, that is your opportunity to explain, not down to the dirty laundry and all the bad things that happened, no, but to explain what happened, what caused that relationship to end, maybe what you learned from it and where you have grown as a result. But don't focus on being fired. If you can even avoid that coming up at all, then do that. But don't leave the job off your resume just because you were fired from it. That risks you having gaps in employment history that look worse than listing the skills and duties you performed, and then being able to put how that relationship with the past job ended into some kind of context that your prospective employer can understand. Maybe you were terminated because your family situation changed in the last 6 months of your employment with that company. Maybe you were grieving and so couldn't focus. Maybe something like that happened. There may be an explanation which will explain your lack of performance, the decision to terminate, but not show you in such a negative light, like you were just a slacker. You didn't do anything on the job, right? Okay, so let me see in the chat your evaluations for, let me stop this share. Group 1. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Please jot down the number. And then, of course, you need to name the student and the score you want to give them.
Send it to you directly or whatever.
Direct message me.
Okay.
How do I stop this? Somebody messaged to everyone. I think that's Danielle.
I did that by mistake.
This is the one thing on Zoom that, it's okay, Danielle. This is the one thing on Zoom that I actually don't know how to fix. Why does my chat appear like this? Let me see something. I really don't like it. I have these small boxes. The words are cut into 3 and 4. Let me see more. Copy, quote, delete. How can I change the setting, chat settings? There has to be a way for me to do this. This is driving me nuts. Save chat. This is honestly, let me see something. I did it last week by accident, and I don't know what I did. All right, yeah. Okay, this is something I have to play with later. Okay, so some of you are making good comments, and I noted it as well. When you're gonna terminate, Chanel, you need a clear explanation. You also need a clear trail. So in March, you were warned about X. In June, you were warned again. In September, this happened, right? Depending on how long this behavior persisted and the amount of time given to correct the behavior. But you need something very specific to explain why. And you also need a trail. Oftentimes, companies will not meet with you and say you're fired unless it's something egregious, like stealing on the job or something like that, in which case you may even be escorted off by police. But there is a trail and a record, and often your file, your employee file, is updated because they are making a case to terminate you. So as the person meeting with him, you would have a record of lack of performance or deficiencies in terms of performance, when it happened and what went wrong. And so that would have helped. It was quite repetitive. We just gave you so much time. And Ricardo, but I have my bills, I need something to pay them, okay? All right, so I see your evaluations for group 1. Thank you very much for feedback to that person who said 4.4. You are the real MVP. You're the real MVP, splitting numbers like this. All right, good. Okay, thank you. Any comments you want to offer to Ricardo and Chanel? I know that these videos were not easy. Thank you, and I appreciate you being able to use your work environment to get this done. I don't know what strings you had to pull for that, but thank you. It looks like this was recorded on your job. So let me close that.
we were at this.
Oh, you went BIPs. Okay, awesome. Awesome, wonderful. All right, so that's group 1. We're gonna move to group 2. So that's Leslie and
Alexis.
Alexis. Please tell us what your group assignment was.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Our group assignment was a prospective employee is being interviewed for a job.
Okay, So you are demonstrating interview techniques that we reviewed most recently. We talked about what to do on an interview, what not to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you are group 2. Group 3's video is downloaded.
Have you given me the
Share my
opportunity to share the screen?
Okay, 1 second. Videos. Let me log out and log back in, because if group 3's video didn't upload, I need to do that. Okay, got it. All right, so let me make you co-host. Leslie, you're the one who's doing the sharing, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Can you go full screen? There you go.
Oh, boy.
Cannot hear it.
We were hearing it fine last class. Is your volume up to the max?
It is. Is there anything in
You have to
Zoom?
share with sound. When you
Oh.
share, there is a little box on the bottom left of the screen. So you click share screen, and then at the bottom, you also have to click share sound. So stop the share and go through the process again. Share screen, and you're gonna see a kind of small version of what you want to share. At the bottom left, you should see a box that you need to check, share sound.
Oh, gosh. I am not equipped with this. I don't, can I see it up here?
What are you using? What is this? How are you using Zoom?
I'm on a laptop.
On a laptop? Yeah, so
Stop share.
first of all, okay, yeah. So when I click share screen,
I see it.
okay, good.
Sure.
Can you access turn off notifications? There we go.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Ms. Roberts?
Yes.
Mrs. Forbes.
Hi, Mrs. Forbes.
Sit have a seat.
Thank you so much for having me, Ms. Forbes.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Okay, I'm concerned. This Forbes person is Alexis Tude?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Listen, y'all gonna be changing up the names though.
So welcome, first off.
Thank you.
Here at Best Food Services, we're looking for an administrative manager, and digging through all the resumes, yours stood out to us. So,
Wow, thank you.
firstly, tell us about yourself.
Okay. I take elevation personally. My ambition and eagerness to always be my best self has me constantly improving, training, and developing my skills, leading me suitable to qualify for this position, both in experience and on paper.
That's good. That's good. So, what interests you about this position?
I see myself in this role utilizing my skills to help solve any challenges and run day-to-day tasks within BFS. I also see an opportunity for me to learn and grow these skills, therefore benefiting myself, the company personally, professionally, and financially.
Great. Why do you want to work for us?
I'm sorry. I feel that this opening could not come at a better time. I have experience managing schedules for upper management and completing accurate minutes for important meetings. I am also computer literate in both Microsoft and Apple. I am able to also think quickly and creatively find solutions. And frankly, I'm just enthusiastic about the position.
That's good. So the perfect candidate.
Thank you. I hope I am.
So what would you consider your strengths and weaknesses?
I hold strong leadership skills. I am a clear communicator. I can solve problems and work in high stress environments. My weakness is I sometimes let my workload overwhelm me. However, I am actively improving and delegating tasks.
You're a workaholic.
I am. Sadly.
So why should we hire you?
I feel that my effective communication and leadership skills can not only meet your company's needs and requirements, but exceed them. I have more than 5 years experience working in this space and have had the privilege of working in large and smaller scales of organizations, giving me the duality of the environment.
That's good. So Leslie, what are your goals for the next 5 years?
I would want to say that I would hope to have increased my skills and improve in any areas that I lack. I would also like to know that I have constantly met and tackled any challenges, met. And my ultimate goal would be to be the best at whatever level I'm at within the company.
Well, I like how you used the word best just now because look at right here at Fast Food Services where we only offer the best quality service, quality products. So how do you think you can be an asset to our company?
My years experience in this space can allow me to use my attributes, help you to solve or add new tasks, maybe ideas, or strategize in any way to meet your company's goals and expectations.
Okay. Well, the position of an administrative manager, you deal with a lot of different personalities, different characters. Tell me about a situation where you had to deal with a difficult boss, colleague, or customer.
Oh, that's actually a really good question. Because my previous employment valued their staff's development, there was an incident where a colleague was completely furious about her enrollment for a course that would have been recommended by her immediate manager. I was responsible for applying and making sure staff completed what was needed for the enrollment. I tend to do well under pressure, and I am very detail oriented. So I took a step back in figuring out what her underlying issue was. And I was able to diffuse the situation by finding a solution for, this particular individual. And she not only completed the course, but she excelled in the class.
That's really grand. So, Leslie, do you have any questions for us?
I do actually. I would love to know, how often do you provide development for your staff and what avenues do you take?
Well, we provide yearly training courses in-house to help advance and enhance our employees' skills.
Okay, good. Glad to know. The other question that I had was, how is your overall management within your company?
Well, firstly, putting it out there, we do not micromanage our employees. We have a collaborative approach to leadership that focuses on asking employees their input and improving the business goals and expectations.
Oh, that is a great approach. And coming from my previous employment, we had that approach as well. And it really motivated a lot of the employees. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, it motivates everyone. Everyone can be a part of bringing the company together. So that's why we stick to collaborative.
Okay.
So that's all the questions?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Leslie Roberts, it was a pleasure having you here today.
Thank you again for having
I've
me.
learned so much about you in the short space of time.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Well, I hope to hear from you very soon, Ms. Forbes.
you will.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Okay, thank you, ladies. Let me Let me just make some last notes. Okay. All right, so I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to send in your comments about Leslie and Alexis, those of you who have not already done so. Perfect, I figured out how to do it. Good night. I can now read your messages clearly. I do not like this thing that Zoom has done at all. Mm. Okay, so I got a comment that Leslie is leading the interview. More so than Alexis. How many of you felt that? And again, this is not to undermine or, negate the hard work you've done. What made it seem like that, and I got a little bit of that, is the energy level, right? But we think about personality, so it did seem as though she was leading the interview, or she was the one in the role of doing the hiring, right? Another observation, and it's a good one, both women were professional in terms of dress and the way they handled themselves. They both asked questions. I thought there were good questions from each person in the group. The management question Leslie asked was a little bit vague, like how do you manage employees? It's a good thing to find out, maybe ask more about corporate culture and find a different way to word it. What's your management style? It's a little bit vague because you're bound to have some differences, and that answer could have gone in any direction, right? Corporate culture, you asked about opportunities for growth, that was good. The interview could have ended in a way that was more helpful to the candidate. What do I mean by that? The interview could have ended in a way that was more helpful to the candidate.
By letting her know when she will be contacted back.
Or at the very least, when we are looking to fill this position. We are looking to fill this position within the next 4 weeks. And so you will hear from us at a particular time, all right? Not just, we're definitely gonna call you. That's very open-ended. So something more definitive so that she knows exactly what to expect in terms of a callback, right? And follow up. Any other comments? Any other comments or observations? Yeah, we did have a mix, a difference of energies. And maybe it would have been, as you were thinking about the videos, maybe a role change, since one person naturally seemed more of a talker and a leader in terms of conversation, right? I would have worked, but again, that's a minor point for me. Okay. Alrighty, so we're gonna look at group 3's video and then group 4, and that is going to be the end of our class tonight. Thank you. I can't say it enough. Thank you for the hard work you've done on this assignment. I hope you had some fun doing it. I know last week Ellen told me that her group enjoyed the assignment. So I hope that even though it was work, you were able to have some fun. All right, so we're gonna move to group 3 now. Let me share my screen. I need the members of group 3 to tell me their group's scenario, please. Tell the class before we start. Anybody in group 3? And I'm looking at Byron and who's the student?
That's Shanique.
Shanique. All 3 of you are part of this video?
Yes, we are. All 3 of us.
Okay, so that is Byron, Shanique, and Courtney. Byron, your last name is Russell? Is he in the meeting?
Ferguson.
Ferguson, thank you. Shanique, what's your last name, please?
Russell.
Okay, that's the confusion. Shanique Russell. And Courtney.
No.
Knowles. Okay, so what scenario are you enacting? Anyone from group 3?
Our scenario was employee meeting with a manager to discuss unfair treatment by his or her supervisor.
Okay, so an employee lodges a complaint with the manager about the direct supervisor. All right. Let me just make some notes and then we're gonna start. I think I'm sharing sound, but let me make sure. Let me stop and share. Screen. Yep.
Okay. Yes, Russell, you wanted to see me today?
Yes, Mr. Ferguson. Well, I wanted to apply for the senior marketing rep role. I would have discussed it with my supervisor, Ms. Knowles, and she told me that because I'm the newest member to the team and I'm still a bit young. I'm 23 years old. I'm still a bit young, and she's thinking that I'm not qualified for the role. So she told me it won't be in my best interest to apply. Well, she's not giving me her support if I go ahead and apply for the role.
That's the only backing that she gave you, the only explanation?
Yes, the only explanation is that I am the newest member to her team and I'm still young. And she feels that I'm not qualified enough as yet.
I see you got a good appraisal last quarter.
Yes, I did.
Did she speak to that?
No, she did not. I tried to explain to her that I'm a quick learner. So me going into the role and getting the first set of training, I will be great for the role. Also, I am doing some schooling on the side, which is gonna make me qualified even more for the role.
Good punctuality. Great always to work. You have a customer accommodation here. Okay, do me a favor and call Ms. Knowles in for me, please.
Okay, that's no problem.
Let me address this while it's here, right here.
Okay, that's no problem. I'll get her.
Oh, you don't? Never mind. You don't know. I don't want you to break a train of thought. Yes, Ms. Rose. You have a second? I need you in my office, please. Okay. I am here with Ms. Russell. We'll just wait for you. Okay. Just give us a second. All right. Come in.
Good day.
Good day. Ms. Rose, how you doing today?
I'm great. How you doing?
Okay, I was made aware that Ms. Russell here wants to move up in the company.
She does. However, she just came. She just came last year, and she's only 23 now. Well, since she just joined the company, there's other people who want that position as well. So let them get it since they're here much longer.
Other people, I only see her resume here. Applying for the position. I spoke with Frank, I spoke with Mr. O. None of that. I'm still waiting on the application for the position.
Well, she's still young. She still has a lot of training to do. She just came to the company.
No. And this is not for me to get between the relationship of you two. I see that you gave her a good appraisal, so you know that she is a good worker.
She is.
Okay, so at this point, I will hold on to your application. I'm not saying that you're going to get the position, I'm not saying that you're not going to get the position. But what I am saying is your application for the position will be taken seriously. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So at this time, do me a favor. I'm going to ask you to exit the meeting. I just need to see Miss Knowles. 2 minutes. All right?
Okay, that's no problem.
Okay. Now listen here. You and me know we can't be doing this.
She just come though.
She just comes.
She just come.
Okay, what I will recommend, we gotta take this application seriously. Because she's the only person to apply for it, and the position needs to be filled. Now she's a good worker. Now she does need additional training.
She does.
Okay, so she's gonna go upstairs in Scott, right? I'm gonna schedule a one-on-one with HR to see what we can do to further advance her in the company. But at this moment, she's the only person who applied.
Okay, I understand. I understand.
Nah, Frank knows. I know Frank probably needs money.
Yeah.
Okay, so
She has a family. Big family at that.
what you could do is recommend a raise for him. If that comes across, I'll sign off on it.
Okay.
Because he has been a good worker as well, but he did not apply.
Well done.
And the deadline is in 5 minutes.
Okay.
His application is the one we got. This is the one we should take seriously.
No problem.
All right, so unfortunately, we have to address this in another meeting, which I don't have time for today, but you do know that going forward, when applications come across, you have to take it seriously.
Well done.
All right, and encourage every worker to strive for excellence.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay, all right, so I'm gonna give you a couple minutes to make your comments about group 3's video. And then we're gonna talk about their approach to the assignment. Okay, all right, so. All right. So thank you, group 3. Anybody else would like to make comments? I'm seeing the comments coming in. Let me give you another minute or two. All right. So thank you for that again. It was a little bit awkward, the interaction between management and the employees. It was awkward. And the structure of the video wasn't well thought out, I would say. What could have been done differently? What do you think could have been done differently?
I have my hand raised. I just don't know if you could see it.
Oh, I can see you now. I was in the popped out chat so that I could see the messages. Now I can see you. What could have been done differently?
Personally, I think he should not have met with them together in the first instance, because no matter what the outcome is, the relationship is going to be weird and
Right.
strange. Coming from an office environment, I just see that being very weird going forward.
Right.
He should have, the employee came to him, he could have spoken with the employee, and then spoken with the supervisor, not speak with the supervisor and the employee together. It
Right.
would be awkward.
And it creates, and it got like that. Well, she just reached, well, and the kind of, she said back and forth that could be very uncomfortable in that room and also after that meeting. So the employee lodges a complaint. You make a note of the complaint, then call the supervisor in yourself, meet with the supervisor, don't send the employee for the supervisor. Then you got on the phone to call her in, but that meeting should have been with the supervisor alone. You two come to a decision together, and then you call the employee back in and tell her what has happened, what decision you've reached. And really, the denying support for promotion or backing an employee who's applying for greater responsibility because of the employee being new is unfair and frivolous. And I think that's the point of the video. So there is no real reason she's being denied this opportunity. Her youth, and that's it. The fact that she just reached, but he made a valid point. He said no other employee is. is applying, and that exposed maybe a preference. I'm not sure why he brought in the other person who didn't apply, needing a raise and then being concerned about finances. Maybe he wanted to appear more empathetic and knowledgeable about the small staff and what they're going through. I think so, but that employee was irrelevant, right, in this case, because you had Shanique Russell saying, I'm being discriminated against. Deal with Shanique Russell, this case in front of you. All right? Yeah, so the interaction was somewhat awkward, and it would create even more awkwardness outside the meeting. You don't bring a supervisor and their the person lodging a complaint against them, you don't bring them together in that first instance where accusations are being clarified. You get each person to talk to you, and then you bring them together for a kind of resolution. Either if there was some kind of problem between the two of them, behavioral, the teacher needs coming out, personality issues or personality clashes, maybe, but you don't put them in this situation that could be contentious and where one feels like she has to defend herself against the other. Okay, now, is there any way to hide the fact that an employee lodges a complaint against a supervisor? Can that even be hidden from the supervisor? Is that something you should hide? No.
No.
No. What you want to do is present it in a professional way and minimize the possibility of conflict, but you don't hide it. That's misrepresenting. Omitting it, leaving it out is also misrepresenting. And the supervisor has a right to know that employee has complained, and she has a right to respond to that complaint as well, right? So the thing to do would not have been to deal only with the employee and say, I'm going to have a word with so-and-so. No, you do speak to them individually, but there needs to be a meeting between the three of you for some kind of resolution. And you did that, but the order in which it was done made it a little bit awkward. All right, you always think about the potential for conflict. I had a situation most recently where a student submitted an assignment for grading 5 days before. I returned the answers because I mark as I receive them, and then another student submitted the exact same assignment. Now, it doesn't matter that each student failed the assignment. What was problematic and confusing to me was the fact that 2 students submitted word for word, verbatim, the exact same answers to the same questions. That is impossible. In math, maybe. In English, definitely not. And so I thought about the best approach to that. Should I interview these 2 students, find out what happened? And then I said, no, I am not a primary school teacher. I'm not even a high school teacher. So I failed both students, because the only way one other person can get access to your work to copy from it is if you provide that access. And so you were just as guilty as the person who took the work and dishonestly said, this is something I'm responsible for. And just to clarify, it's not an essay that I'm talking about. These are questions with right or wrong answers. So if someone asks you to see your assignment, the only thing they could be looking to do is copy. There's no, let me get an idea of how to do it. You are sharing answers, right? And so the student wrote me back when I told her that I'm failing her and her previous grade is going to be changed to a 0 because another student submitted the exact same assignment. She was very upset. Those words were mine. How could another student get access to my assignment, and she was very, very upset. And I understand that. But again, I'm not a private investigator. And so she wanted to know who is a student and could I meet with them? And I'm also not an arbitrator, not in this case. And I said, I will not reveal the name of the student to you. And the same way I would not reveal your name to the other student. And so she then said to me, well, someone asked me to see my work. And so I thought I was being helpful, and it resulted in both students failing. But had I given the name of the other student or assumed she didn't know and given the name, the potential for that to become something contentious, students fighting, that responsibility then would fall on me. I'd be the one to blame in that case. All right, so always think about where this is going to go and try in contentious situations to protect privacy as much as possible. Except in the example that we just looked at, you can't really hide the fact that one supervisor receives a complaint from another employee. That isn't something that can be hidden, right? But sometimes there are cases where privacy is a concern and you need to protect people's privacy in the interest of employee safety, all right? Okay, awesome. So we're gonna look at the last video. And this is group 4. This is Ellen and Danielle. So before I share your video on screen, please tell me what scenario your group is responsible for.
Assignment number 4, an employee has recently resigned from her job, and the manager is meeting with the employee to persuade her to reconsider.
Okay, now this is interesting. This doesn't usually happen, right? Usually when you show that you are resigning from your job, they may ask you to continue on, but this is something that people don't usually do because you're marked as someone looking. You're marked as someone who wants to leave, and the company may be looking to fill your position while you're still working in it, right? They don't want to be in a position where they're left in the lurch. So you don't necessarily want to be marked as that employee hunting for a job. But I gave you this scenario anyway. I tried to choose, when I was thinking about this assignment, contexts where there would be some level of difficulty or potential for misunderstanding or some nuances to the communication that you'd have to navigate, right? Okay, nope.
Good morning, Miss Hannah. How are you this morning?
Morning, Miss Sharon. How are you?
I am great, thanks. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Yes, Miss Hannah.
1 second, I need to set up my notepads so that I'm not delayed. Let me just make some preliminary notes. Danielle, Hannah, and Ellen Strong, right?
Yes.
All right, so group 4, resignation. All right.
I call this meeting today because you would have submitted your letter of resignation on yesterday. So I would have taken some time to look over your file. And I realized that you've been with the company for over 6 years.
Yes,
with
ma'am.
3 promotions, very good.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good, very good. You've been with the company, and I noticed in your file that you are very punctual, reliable, eager to learn, and a great team player. I also saw where you would have spearheaded this special marketing project, and not only was it a success, but the project was completed in record time. Very good. And so, How are you feeling since you got that recent reward? I understand that you were the top employee in your area for the month. Very good.
It was a very good feeling.
Yes, I would have I would think so. Miss Hannah, you are one of our most valued employees. And I really, really want to thank you. And I was really disturbed when I saw the letter of resignation. And I was wondering, is it that anything that the company didn't do or they can do to assist you or we can do to assist you? And I also realized here where you said that your reason for resignation was personal. I know it's personal, but would you be willing to share any of that information with us to see where we can assist you?
I don't have a problem in sharing information, especially if, you know, it's personal and once I share it, it stays right there because, you know, it is something that you would like to keep in, you know, between you and human resources.
Yes.
Basically, my husband started to feel ill and we had to rush him to the hospital and we found out that within maybe about 2 weeks ago that he has to take treatment and he has an illness that we're trying to deal with at an early point.
Oh wow, Miss Hannah.
And so for the past 2 weeks, you know, I've been going through a lot back and forth, running up and down, and you know, it's really put a toll on me just within those 2 weeks. My other son, I have 3 kids. My daughter is only 10, and then I have a son that's 21, and then I have one that is about 30. He's in college.
Okay.
The one that's in 20, the 20-year-old, he's actually working.
Okay.
And then of course the 10-year-old, you know, she goes to school. I don't have a housekeeper or whatever at this time. So basically, you know, this is something that just sprung up on us. So that's why I actually took those 2 weeks off. So I don't have to be going back and forth and interrupting and, you know, the workflow. And during that time, I feel like, you know, the best thing to do would be to resign just so it doesn't interrupt the flow. And it's something that requires both he and I to be back and forth. Preferably, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it would be early in the mornings when he would have to do the treatment. And of course, my hours are 9 to 5. So there would be a conflict with the hours. I only have maybe another 2 or 3 weeks vacation left.
Okay.
So, you know, it's just really rough.
Okay, Miss Hannah. First of all, let me say that I am so sorry. And I pray that you would get the medical assistance that you need and your husband will be at least recover in record time. Anyway, Miss Hannah.
No.
I am so sorry to hear that, but we at the ABC Global Company will do our best to assist you where it's possible. Now, listening to you speak, I understand that you have a few issues. One of your issues would be timing, your hours of work. I also understand and I know that whenever you're dealing with medical issues, it calls for money.
Right.
Okay, let me say that the company offers flexi hours, and there are some areas that you can work that would assist you with overtime. both of those options are open. And the flexi hours can be monitored monthly. Once we do it by a month-to-month basis, we'll monitor whether or not those hours will work or it can be adjusted. And also, the IT team is doing a special project at this time. And I know that they'll be happy.
Video.
I don't know what happened.
Once we do it by a month-to-month basis, we'll monitor whether or not those hours will work or it can be adjusted. And also, the IT team is doing.
Okay, so what's missing from the video? Your phone stopped recording? How much is missing?
I think like if it stopped at 6 minutes, like another 3 or 4 minutes.
It stopped at 6 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah, it should have
There's
gone
another,
to 10.
no, I don't think it was all of that.
Was 9, yeah, about 9 to 10, maybe another 3 minutes.
So you sent this and it trimmed your video or something, or do you still have the original video?
I think, hold on, let me see. I still have the original.
How did you sent this to me, right?
Right, through WhatsApp.
Okay, send it to me again. Let's see what happened.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't trim it. So for whatever reason, it cut your video. Now, let's see if it comes through at 6 minutes again to my WhatsApp. Just bear with us for a few minutes, those of you in the class. I want to finish these tonight.
It should be coming through. It looked like it is trim. I didn't think to check the timing when I sent it. When I sent it to you.
So you don't have your original anymore?
I'm checking. I hope I do. I was just clearing my phone out yesterday. Hold on. Let me just scroll through and right quick and see.
Let's see.
No, let me check the email because I think I had emailed it to you, right, Strawn?
I can right now too.
Okay.
We sent it to, I think Miss Hayes, I sent it to you, or that's the one that couldn't open.
No, it couldn't open. It couldn't open. All right, so what we're gonna do is try to recover the rest of your video. Hopefully you have it in an original format before you did any sending.
Okay.
And before it cut, but we can't. I mean, you may be able to find it tonight. We may have to finish your video along with group 5 next week.
Okay.
Not next week, week after.
Okay.
All right, so we'll watch those 2 videos. I don't want to grade you on an incomplete assignment. I will say that so far it's good. As you go back at this, I have a question, Danielle. If your husband's sick and you're not working, who's gonna support the family? But maybe a video gets to that.
Yes, it does.
Okay, all right then. Okay, now in terms of what we're doing next week, I know some of you need to speak with me after class. Perfect, we'll do that. Don't forget you have a mock final next week, Wednesday. So check your email. We don't meet as a class, but you will use class time to go over that exercise. That means it's a timed activity to prepare you for the final. We're going to use it as final prep. All right, so right before class on Wednesday, you should get that email from me, or sometime in the afternoon. I'm going to send it in time for you to complete it between 6 and 8:30 next Wednesday. I want to take attendance, and I'm going to let you go a little bit early because I need to have meetings with individual students, Danielle and Ellen, regarding their final, and then our class is a little bit abbreviated because we didn't get to finish that last video and do the evaluation. That's fine. Today is March 29th. Okay, so Ricardo, is Ricardo here tonight? Chanel?
Pardon?
I'm taking attendance, I'm just calling.
Oh,
Byron was absent. Danielle was here, Dimitri was here, Courtney was here, Crystal, you in the meeting, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Leslie, Shanique, Ellen, and Alexis. So everybody is present. If you need to speak with me, please stay behind. Those of you who don't need to speak with me, I will see you next week. Well, actually, I will not. You will do your mock final next week, don't forget.
So will you be sending it to us in email or it'll be on the screen?
No, I'm emailing it. We're not having face-to-face meeting online via Zoom next week, Wednesday. You will be using your notes. It's fine to do that in the mock final, but you will be using your notes and your time to complete the exercise that I sent, the mock final. So you'll do that on your own, but I do want it done in class time, during class time, not in class, but during class time. Okay, so what you're gonna do is next week, Wednesday, between 4 and class time, check your email. You will get a mock final exam from me. Okay, well, check it at some point during the Wednesday. I may send it a little bit early. I'll see how Wednesday goes in terms of my schedule, but you're getting a mock final exam next week, Wednesday. That is what you will do from 6 to 8:30 instead of us meeting and having a lecture online. You're working through that activity, emailing it to me. I will review it, give you feedback, and then when we come in on the 12th, I will go over the areas of weakness, things I saw that you may need to review and work on in preparation for your final the following week. So on the 12th, we're going to review the mock final, although you'll get individual feedback from me before that. And on the 19th is your actual final in person at BIPS, okay? On the 19th, except Danielle and Ellen. All right, those of you who aren't meeting with me, have a good night. Let me talk to Danielle and Ellen. Let's see what we're gonna do.
Good night.
Ms. Higgs, don't forget, we were supposed to discuss.
Right, and Dimitri as well. I didn't say it, but I'm gonna email people's grades for the video to them. We'll get that as well, okay? All right, so I have 3 students to meet with. Let me stop the recording.